and welcome to this edition of the GOP Rebuttal. I'm Dan Wandell, reporting from Beacon Hill, and today we'll be showcasing Plymouth's 6th District Representative, Daniel Webster, and we'll be hearing his thoughts on the corruption of the Democratic caucus, the effectiveness of the Republican caucus, the 2010 election cycle, and the future of the Massachusetts Republican Party. Morning, Representative Webster. Thanks for appearing on the GOP Rebuttal this morning.
My pleasure. I'm glad that you guys came to speak to me.
Absolutely. So, in order for the folks to get a better idea of who you are, what you stand for, what your accolades have been in your time at Beacon Hill, would you like to express to the folks some of your personal philosophy and how you address the legislature here on Beacon Hill?
Sure. You know, I've been involved in politics for a long time now. I was an activist when I was younger, and I served in local government and several different capacities for many years before I was elected to the State House. And my guiding philosophy and principles, no matter what level of government I've served at, have always been lower taxes, less government, individual responsibility, and personal freedom. And I think regardless of whether you're serving on Beacon Hill or you're a selectman like I was in my local community, these are all principles that come into play in the decisions that we should all be making as public service.
Great, absolutely. Well, considering we're working for Plymouth County GOP and we're addressing the constituents of Plymouth County and their wants and their needs and their voices on Beacon Hill, how have you been representative to the constituents of Plymouth County, and how has the Republican caucus been able to enact real change and be a voice for the people that have put them on Beacon Hill?
Well, we've done a couple of things over the years. I mean, we're obviously a small band of members of the legislature. We only have 16 members in the House and 5 members in the Senate, but we've certainly had our ability to effectuate public policy on Beacon Hill. And one of the things that comes to mind, and this goes back 4 years ago now, in 2005 when Melanie's Law was passed, we had a very serious issue in Massachusetts with drunk driving. Right. And although we certainly have had laws on the books for many, many years that deal with this issue, our laws frankly weren't as strong as many laws in other states of our country. And the Democrats were very skeptical at the time about enacting tougher drunk driving legislation, and there was a contingent of criminal defense attorneys on the majority side of the aisle who were fighting against the bill that was proposed at the time. And the Republicans were able to work together, and some of us within the caucus are attorneys and have a pretty good understanding of some of these issues with respect to criminal law and drunk driving. And we let other Democrats know that we don't really, at the time we didn't really have tough drunk driving laws in Massachusetts. And despite the fact that certain members of the legislature weren't willing to listen to us, and former Governor Romney deserves a lot of credit for this, as well as the Powell family in Marshfield. Right. We took our argument to the public, and we explained to them that certain members of the legislature are resisting us in this attempt, and we've had too many tragedies within the Commonwealth. We need to hear from you. They need to hear from you. And we were able to create public awareness about this issue, and that put pressure on other members of the legislature, and we finally got tougher drunk driving laws. And the success has been in the statistics. Drunk driving fatalities and arrests have fallen since 2005 when we enacted this legislation.
Great. Well, conversely, I think the voters of the Commonwealth and the voters of Plymouth County have realized that the Democratic caucus has really been stagnant and has contributed to waste and obviously the clear and present corruption. What type of democratically sponsored legislation or initiatives have you or the Republican caucus opposed, being voices for those who put you into office in the first place?
Well, there are a lot of Democratic initiatives that the Republican caucus we try to defeat on a regular basis since day one when I walked in the door. And like I said, we're such a small number that we're not always successful, and that's one of the problems with Beacon Hill is we don't have balance within the legislature in order to try to try to prevent some of these issues from coming forward. But anyway, one of the issues that we've worked on consistently since I've been here, it continues to come up year after year after year, is the problem with immigration. And that's much of that's a federal issue.
Right.
But as far as the Commonwealth is concerned, a number of times certain Democratic lawmakers have tried to slip amendments into bills or present bills that would allow illegal aliens that live here in the Commonwealth to enjoy the in-state tuition benefit that college students or college residents that live here in Massachusetts enjoy at our state universities and colleges. And when we don't allow other people in our country who are law-abiding citizens to come to Massachusetts and get a reduced tuition rate, how can we do that for people who are aliens that are here illegally? There are many aliens that are here legally. They've got the appropriate documentation, or they become citizens, and I would never want to deny them the rights that any law-abiding citizens of the Commonwealth is entitled to. But to give those that are not here legally that type of a benefit is absolutely outrageous.
Right. Well, they're not protected under the constitutions and aren't afforded the rights under the constitutions of either the Massachusetts Constitution or the federal Constitution.
That's absolutely correct, and their activity is illegal activity, right. And we shouldn't be rewarding those who are breaking the law.
Absolutely. Well, understanding that there is this corruption and that there is a one-party monopoly on Beacon Hill, what do the Republicans need to do in Plymouth County? What do the elected officials need to do? What do the Republican candidates need to do to bring back two-party government to Beacon Hill and to bring back an effective dialogue that will really represent the people?
Well, there's a couple of things in my view that need to happen, and I've had this philosophy for a long, long time, even before I began to serve as a state representative. And number one, the real choice is up to the voters, as it always is. And number two, with respect to the Republican Party needs to put forth good, qualified candidates that people can reach out to and vote for. And it becomes an issue of awareness. We have to, as Republicans, we have to let the people of Plymouth County, as well as the people of Massachusetts, understand that we're on the same side as they are on most of these issues. And I think that the people in this state do realize that, because from 1990 up until recently, 2006, we had a Republican governor, and we had many Republicans that served in constitutional offices. So our message resonates with the voters of Massachusetts. What we need to do is inform them that a lot of the power on Beacon Hill lies within the House and the Senate, within the legislature, and that's the way our Constitution is set up. And if we really want the public's view to be brought forth to Beacon Hill, we need to bring balance to the legislature. We need to elect more Republicans so that we can challenge Democrats, so that we can get ideas on the floor of the House and Senate and have open and honest debate. And frankly, if there's more tension between the two parties, it will make it more difficult for the leaders in one party, and in this case the Democratic Party, to exert so much power and influence over their members, which ultimately leads to the corruption that we're seeing here right now, unfortunately. The situation with Senator Wilkinson, the indictment of former Speaker DeMacy. In fact, we've had the three former House Speakers have been indicted, and we've got a situation that we really need to correct here. We need to restore the public's confidence in the Massachusetts House and the Massachusetts Senate, and the first step to doing that is to restoring two-party government.
Right. Well, it sounds like the Republican caucus understands what it means to be truly representative, and we thank you, Representative Webster, for joining us on the GOP Rebuttal, and we'll be hoping to hear from you soon.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm always glad to come back.
Thanks.
So that's all for this edition of the GOP Rebuttal. For more exclusive videos of your public officials and your Republican candidates, visit us at PlymouthCountyGOP.com. On behalf of Plymouth County GOP, reporting from Beacon Hill, I'm Daniel Wandell.